Alright, so these are some of the plants that are coming back, and I'm actually going to be taking some of this aloe vera out because this aloe vera, y'all, it does not take long for it to spread and grow. So these are some of the examples of the caladiums that are coming back, and this is a mix too, so you can see they have variations in their leaves, and the leaves get really big, honestly. And then I have some over here. So I'm going to fill this one up with some new bulbs. And you can actually just buy the caladium plant itself and plant it wherever you want. So I just like the bulbs, but you can buy the plant and plant it right in a container, which is what I have here. And then I have some things that I planted in the ground. So I have a mixture. These are my elephant ears. Honestly, I haven't planted any elephant ears in years, but they continue to grow back. And years ago, I actually pulled up several bulbs from the root because they were taking over my landscape. And these just continue to grow back. Like I told you, they're hard to kill. So these are the elephant ears that continue to grow back. And I have some things that I planted last year that came back that are really cool. And then I planted some new stuff. So this is a little bit of my landscape. I have a lot more, but this is a little bit. And you can see I have a lot of containers and plants, so I try not to go super crazy because my husband will start asking me, what am I doing? And why does it look like a jungle? So I try to take the jungleness look out. Those plants, what is that plant? Because it has some little pink flowers. They come back too a lot. My dad told me, he's like, it's in the mint family because the leaves actually are minty. I wouldn't drink it, but I can't think of the name of it. Those come back all the time. I've had those probably at least 7 years. This plant I know I've had at least 8 or 9 years, and it's gotten this big. And I bought it as a really, really tiny plant. Yeah, I got a lot going on. So I'm just gonna come out here and pick up dead leaves and pull up weeds, and I'm going to plant my bulbs in my containers. So these are my pots. These are my empty pots that I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with. That is the aloe vera that I have planted. It's really overgrown in this one. And then this smaller one, let's see. The smaller one is not that bad, but you can see how it really just has taken over my pots. And I really need to put it in a bigger pot. Now, I can say I put it in the ground one time and it did not do well in the ground. So, they do a lot better in a container. All right, so stay tuned. Okay, so I want to just look at the difference between this brand, Miracle Grow, which is a household brand. I think everybody knows what Miracle Grow is. And I used to think that Miracle Grow was like the only brand I need to buy, because that's what I thought. And then I got this cheaper brand. I guess that's the name, Expert Gardener. And then when I started to look at the nutrients that's being used, it's practically the same. So then I first looked at to make sure it was the same type of nutrients. So it's the 24-8-16. And this one is also, you can see it, 24-8-16. And those three numbers represent, usually it's the top 3 nutrients that most people look for when you're wanting to fertilize any kind of plant, tree, shrub. And that's the nitrogen, phosphate, and potash levels. Right? So the first number is the nitrogen, which is usually the highest concentration. Where is it at? Right? So that's 24%. The second number is the phosphate, which is 8%, and then the second number is the potash. All of those are minerals. And they're the exact same. So you see, 24, 8, and 16. 24, 8, 16. I mean, they break it down and they tell you the other minerals that are in here. So you have copper, iron, magnesium, or manganese, zinc, all of that same stuff, right? So don't always think that a certain brand is better or superior. They just simply have the brand power. They have paid for the marketing and advertising. They are a household name, but it does not mean it's better. So that's my other tip. So I have my jugs ready. I put my nutrients in here. I use my gallon jug, so I do recycle, and I keep these, and I will put these in my container plants. And I'm also going to put them in my containers after I plant my bulbs, because remember they said the fertilizer is really good when you're doing fresh planting, whether you put a fresh plant in the ground or wherever, or whether you're putting a bulb or a seed, whatever it is. So, okay, these are my tips. I've only been doing this for almost like 10 years, so it works for me. All right, so I am going to be doing some planting of bulbs today. So I have my caladium mix, which I have been really successful with caladiums. They continue to grow back year after year, but I decided to get some new bulbs. So I have 6 bulbs, and it's a mix. So I do like the different colors and variations in the caladiums, and they have really nice bright leaves. I'm actually going to show you some that have already started coming back from the previous years. And then the elephant ear. These are very difficult to kill. So I have learned over the years what works in my landscape and what doesn't. And truly it's like trial and error. Like honestly, I will say start with just some basic small things. Don't spend a lot of money because you don't know how that plant will do in your soil. You just don't know. So I like to start with things that are not going to break my budget. And then I also look at other people's plants, and I do a little research online. And I'm also going to be feeding my plants, because now that this is like the growing season, I typically try to put food in my containers pretty often and then fertilize like my general landscape and my grass. We have somebody that does that, but I do go behind them because I've just found that it works. So I like that they give you all these instructions, and then they tell you the best times when you should water. Like for instance, I didn't realize that you should feed your plants in the morning, and it says because the sun is less intense, but you can apply anytime. But it does make sense. So they actually prefer you to do it in the morning. And then with the transplant shock, I can honestly say that I have not had many of my plants die from shock. And I think maybe because our soil is just already rich. And then I am one of those people that I go and check on my plants all the time, especially if I know I just planted them, whether I put it in a container or I put it right into the ground. I check on my plants every day. I try not to overwater, and I try not to do too much. So I really, in the first couple weeks, just go out there and see if I can tell if there's any hints that they're not doing well. And I really can say that I've done an excellent job with that.